We have all written a scene that felt too heavy and wished we knew how to lighten it without ruining the moment. Today, we'll figure that out. Hi, I'm Andrea from Bibisco, the novel writing software downloaded by more than 200,000 writers around the world to bring their stories to life. In this video, we are diving into something that can completely transform the way readers connect with your characters: humor. By staying with me, you'll learn how to use humor to make your characters feel more alive, how to weave funny moments into your scenes without forcing them, and how to choose the kind of humor that fits the tone of your story and the expectation of your readers. And by the end, you'll know how to practice humor so it becomes a natural part of your voice rather than something you add at the last minute. So let's dive in. Humor isn't just decoration, it's not the sprinkles you add at the end of a chapter. Humor is connection. It's that spark that makes characters feel human, that breath readers feel between two heavy scenes, that tiny moment that turns a story from good to "I need to tell everyone about this." And here's the truth most writers forget. Humor isn't about being funny, it's about being honest. Honest about awkwardness, absurdity, vulnerability, imperfection, the things that make us human. When humor is done well, it doesn't just make readers laugh, it makes them care. Different genres use humor in different ways, and once you understand what humor actually does inside each genre, it becomes a really storytelling tool. In comedy, humor is the very structure the story stands on. Every scene, every beat, every character choice is designed around a rhythm of setup and payoff. Humor becomes the engine that moves the plot forward and reveals who the characters really are when the story allows them to drop their guard. In drama, humor works almost like a pressure valve. It doesn't interrupt emotion, it intensifies it. A small, honest moment of levity after something heavy can make characters feel more human and the world more real. And it's often in these lighter moments that we glimpse their fears, their warmth, or their vulnerability. In fantasy and science fiction, humor helps us navigate the unfamiliar. It anchors readers to something recognizable when the world around them is full of strangeness. Across all genres, humor works best when it isn't an interruption, but a lens, one that sharpens emotion, strengthens characters' relationships, and keeps readers engaged through contrast and rhythm. Let's now talk about the different kinds of humor you can use in your writing. But before moving on, since we are talking about things that make people smile, if this video is doing that for you, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you think. It tells YouTube this content is valuable and helps other writers find it too. Situational humor happens when circumstances twist in an unexpected way. It's not about delivering a punchline, it's about creating a moment where the situation itself becomes funny. Think of a character who spends the whole morning preparing a confident introduction for a new job, only to realize halfway through the meeting that they have been confidently presenting to the wrong team. Nobody cracks a joke. The humor comes from the mismatch between intention and reality. To use this kind of humor, focus on everyday pressures, expectation or misunderstandings, and let then something slightly off happen at exactly the wrong time. Dialogue humor grows out of the way characters speak and how their personalities clash or complement each other. It can be sharp, warm, awkward, ironic, whatever feels true to them. Imagine two characters discussing a serious plan and one quietly adds, "And for once, let's try not to set anything on fire." The line is only funny because it hints at a history of chaotic attempts. Humor emerges from tone, time, and the relationship between the speakers, not from a forced joke. When you write dialogue-based humor, let your characters' voices do the work. Humor should feel like a natural extension of how they think and interact. Physical humor uses the body, movement, clumsiness, timing to create a contrast with the situation. In writing, the key is clarity and rhythm. Picture a character trying to appear calm while giving instruction to a group, but every time they gesture, something behind them falls over. A stack of papers, a cup, a lamp. They are trying to project competence and the universe refuses to cooperate. That tension creates humor. You don't need exaggerated chaos. Even a subtle misstep described with precision can shift a scene's tone just enough to make readers smile. Satire uses humor to expose what's flawed, exaggerated, or contradictory in a system, a habit, or a belief. Parody does something similar but focuses on imitating a recognizable style or pattern and pushing it to an extreme. For example, imagine describing an ordinary office meeting as if it were a high-stakes diplomatic negotiation complete with alliances, treaties, territorial disputes over who controls the whiteboard markers. The humor comes from inflating something mundane to reveal how absurd it already is. These forms of humor work best when you observe a real behavior or structure, identify what's slightly ridiculous about it, and amplify that truth. This is humor that comes directly from personality, quirks, fears, contradiction, habits. The character isn't trying to be funny, they just are who they are. Picture someone who's usually calm and collected until they get nervous. And when they do, they start lining up every object in sight, pens, notebook, even water bottles, as if keeping the words straight will help them stay steady. They are not trying to be funny, but the way they cling order in a moment of panic creates a very human kind of humor. This form works beautifully because it deepens character rather than distracting from it. Dark humor appears when characters face something difficult, stressful, or uncomfortable and respond with a twist of irony or dry wit, not to minimize the seriousness but to cope with it. Imagine a character who hasn't slept in hours, waiting for news they are afraid to hear. They rub their eyes and say, "Well, if worry burned calories, I'd be in great shape by now." It's a dark joke, but it lets a little air into a heavy moment. Dark humor works when it reveals resilience, frustration, or vulnerability, not when it shocks for the sake of shocking. Humor in writing works through placement. A movement is funny not just because of what happens, but because it arrives at the right point in the emotional rhythm of the scene. It's the build-up, the pause, and the release that give humor its impact. Imagine a character preparing a serious announcement. The room is tense, everyone waiting, and their first word comes out in the wrong tone. It's a tiny slip, but the tension makes it gently funny. Used this way, humor can ease conflict, help characters reconnect, or reset the mood without breaking the scene. A simple detail, like someone putting on their coat inside out after an argument, can soften the moment and make the relationship feel more human. But timing only works when the humor matches your story's tone. Too much and can dilute the emotion, too little and the narrative may feel heavy or flat. When the tone, pacing and emotion move together, humor becomes a tool that deepens your characters, shapes the rhythm of your scenes and keeps readers connected through contrast and breadth. Humor works best when it grows directly from your characters, from the way they think, react, and stumble through their lives. And that's exactly what bibisco helps you explore in depth. When you build a character in bibisco, you go far beyond a name and a few traits. You discover how they see the world, what makes them uneasy, and which small habits reveal their fears or quirks. Those details are where the most natural humor comes from, because they shape the moments that feel authentically funny without ever being forced. Bibisco also shows you how these traits connect to a character's past and to their relationships. When you look at the relationship map, you start to see how two personalities can create tension, warmth, or little sparks of irony just by being who they are. Humor emerges from their dynamic, not from you trying to insert a joke. And when you work on your scenes, Bibisco's tools make it easy to see whether a humorous moment fits the tone or disrupts it. You can adjust the placement, try a different reaction, and immediately sense how it changes the emotional rhythm of the chapter. In the end, Bibisco helps you create characters so consistent and so alive that humor stops feeling like something you add. It becomes something they naturally generate through the way they move, speak, and collide with each other. Okay, writer, that's everything for today. Remember, humor isn't just a way to entertain your readers. It's a way to connect with them and to reveal who your characters really are. And if you want to develop those characters in depth and make your humor feel truly natural, you can download Bibisco using the link in the description. See you in the next video, and as always, happy writing!